I'm Wheelie, and welcome to the channel. At the end of last year, I did the big task of organizing my computer files. Part of this organizing was compiling my finished artworks into their own files organized by year. And seeing some of my older art was rough, to put it lightly. Some of the pieces weren't nearly as bad as others. Some were obviously just me making art to post to Instagram that week. But some I could see they had potential. Did they come close to it? No, I obviously have to ask these ideas. I didn't do it on purpose. I just didn't have the skills back then to make them what they should be. So for those ideas, I want to give them another shot. Today, we're redrawing my old art. Let's see how it's changed. Here is the lovely skeleton lady we're drawing today. I drew this piece back in 2023. I like the concept. A skeleton ghost girl coming out of a coffin. That's a fun idea. The execution, though, is lacking in a lot of ways. Firstly, with the anatomy. That applies to a few things in this case. Starting with the skeleton, it's just not good. It looks like instead of making the skeleton look like it should, even a little bit, I warped the bones and structure around the character. Like the ribcage is mangled. I didn't even put the other bone up here by the collar. Next, I'll admit, I'm still not good at making sure my character's waist can hold organs, but I've come a long way from this. There's barely any space between the spine and her sides. Second issue here is her clothes, or the lack thereof. I know I wanted an outfit where you'd see the bones, but this is ridiculous. She's literally just in a strapless bra and underwear. There's nothing interesting here at all. Finally, the posing and overall composition. All I can say is that I'm bored. It's boring. This is boring. Everything here is so flat. There's not even a little bit of implied movement. There was a cool concept here, but all I did was take it and try to make a sexy girl. Everyone liked that kind of art, right? I made the most generic drawing I could. I don't even remember having that much fun making this piece. There's so many things here that I want to change, but to truly figure out where I want to take this piece, we've got to start with thumbnails. First thing first, I had to get an idea for a color palette. So I pulled from the original piece and simplified it some. I'll get to mess with more color variations later on while rendering. This is all about getting an idea down. The first idea I had was to focus on flowy clothes, but I scrapped that after 2 attempts. For the next 2, I focused more on the coffin's position. And I'm glad I did, because the last thumbnail I did, I loved. So that's what we're going with. Now that we've got the thumbnail done, it's time to block out the pose. I want to have a rough pose worked out before doing the skeleton. I was struggling a lot with this hand pose, so I used a 3D model to help me out with it. Next, I sketched out the coffin. I made it a padded coffin to make it more visually interesting. I feel like the padding helps add extra volume. I want to avoid it looking flat. After I worked that out, it was time for the longest part of the sketching process. The skeleton.
We're still here. Just to suffer.
This took so long to do. Does it look good at the end? Yes. Did it take 3 hours to draw this? Bones alone? Also, yes. I used as many references as I could to try and get this accurate, with minor tweaks to the skull so the face would actually line up. I'm drawing an anime girl face. I kinda gotta tweak the skull for it to look correct. Drawing a skeleton isn't easy. Drawing one at any kind of angle makes it worse. The easiest way for me to draw the ribs was to do solid thick lines and then carve out the shape from there, then copy, paste, and warp the other half of the rib cage. Carving out the shapes helped a lot of this process. I used it again for the spine and it made it a breeze. There were a bunch of small bones in the hand, so that's an area where I had to simplify things. Once I was done with the skeleton, I went back to my rough pose sketch and lined it up with the bones underneath. I tried to leave enough space between the skin and bones to account for the space usually taken up by muscles and body fat. For the hair and clothes, I wanted to have an ethereal flow to them. For the clothes, I made sure some of the fabrics were like semi-transparent. I wanted for the bones and coffin to still be able to be seen and add a more interesting flow to it all. I touched up some areas of the sketch that needed it and went straight into lines. The line art was pretty smooth. The only area I struggled with was the rib cage. Flats were quick too, since I already had a color palette I could go off of. I did my normal rendering style for the skin, but made sure to give a glow to it all. I rendered the hair out fully once, but I hated it. It had to go. So I stopped mid-shading on the clothes to go back and redo that. And I'm very glad I did because I like the new look so much better. I like the chunkier hair rendering. The other one, it was just had too many small strands in it. It was too busy. I felt like it really took away from the piece. Like it didn't fit in. Going back to the clothes, I think I did a really good job rendering the transparent fabric. I was really focusing on trying to make it look soft and flowy, and I think I did it. At first, I wasn't fully sure about adding the jewelry to the clothes. I thought it might end up being too much, but I was wrong. It turned out to be a nice addition of color to the outfit, and the tiny skull faces I added to the bigger centerpieces were a cute detail. I quickly finished up the rendering of the coffin, added more of the glow from the green skin, plus the little spirit orbs, and with my normal finishing touches, she was done. Let's do a quick side by side. Seeing these two next to each other fills me with a little bit of pride. When I made the first drawing, I thought it was the best I'd be. I've been trying to improve my art for so long at that point, and I wasn't seeing much of a difference. I'm glad I was wrong. I studied more and I kept drawing as much as I could, and because of that, it led me here. To this being my new skeleton girl. I think this one is a lot more interesting. The pose and composition is so much better here. My art has improved a lot within 3 years. I feel like I've gotten a better understanding of my own personal style, along with anatomy, composition, all the art basics that I was avoiding for so long back then. It really does help to study these things. But those are my thoughts on these two. Let me know yours down in the comments below. That's all for this video, so please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things if you'd be so kind, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!